Do you have any last words?
If there's a young man out there feeling the same pressure I felt, I hope he hears this. Whatever you're afraid of losing is smaller than what you'll actually lose.
Lucas Bennett, you have been found guilty of stealing from Kestrel Financial Group. I hereby sentence you to 18 months in prison.
There is a saying, "It is foolish for a man to spend money he does not have, to buy what he does not need, to impress people he barely knows. That is wisdom. And the fear of the Lord is where real wisdom begins." But Lucas chose the fear of man over the fear of God, and wisdom was the first thing he gave up. A week before his wedding, he was in a jail cell. Please subscribe, like, comment, and share to bless others. Now let's continue the story. $10,000 left the company account and landed in his own, quiet and clean, exactly the way the voice had promised it would. He didn't feel relief. He told himself he would, once the wedding planning was finally settled, and this was all just a number he'd quietly correct later. He almost believed it. Over the next few weeks, the money went out in pieces. A deposit for a rented hall, a caterer, booked and half paid. A band, hired for 2 hours instead of the 4 Valerie had originally wanted. At the tasting, Valerie smiled at the food and said it was lovely. It was. It just wasn't quite what she'd been picturing. Even with $10,000 that was never his, Lucas still couldn't quite reach the number in Valerie's head. The theft hadn't even bought the thing it was committed for. For 6 weeks, nothing happened. Lucas told himself the worst was over, and the wedding was still weeks away. Then a vendor payment bounced. It was routine, at first. The kind of thing that happens in any accounting department. A payment scheduled, a payment that didn't clear. Someone flagged it, expecting a simple fix. But the fix didn't come easily. The money that should have covered it wasn't where it was supposed to be. Richmond called a meeting the following morning. Everyone in accounting who touched company funds sat around the same table, and none of them knew, yet, that one of them was about to lose everything.
Someone in this room can explain where $10,000 went. I intend to find out who, and I intend to find out today.
Nobody in that room was named. Not yet. But for the first time in 9 years, people were looking at each other's work instead of trusting it. And somewhere in that room, Lucas sat very still, doing what he had always done best, the math. The investigation didn't stay quiet for long. Within a week, 3 accountants had been called into Richmond's office, one at a time, and asked to explain transactions that weren't theirs to explain. 2 of them were cleared by the end of the day. The third wasn't so lucky. Raymond, Red, to everyone who knew him, had worked 2 desks down from Lucas for 6 years. He had a wife, 2 kids in elementary school, and a mortgage he talked about more than he probably should have. Richmond suspended him with pay, pending a full review. Red didn't fight it. He just looked tired, the way a man looks when something unfair has happened to him, and he's not sure yet how unfair it's about to get. Lucas watched him clear out his desk. That night, the 2 voices came back. Temptation.
It's not permanent. He's still getting paid. This isn't the same as what would happen to you.
Conscience.
He has 2 kids and a mortgage. You have a guilty conscience. Those aren't close to the same weight.
Lucas didn't sleep. He kept picturing Red's face, packing a cardboard box like a man who'd done something wrong, when the only thing he'd actually done wrong was work near someone who had. Temptation.
Confessing now doesn't undo what already happened to him. It only adds you to the damage.
Conscience.
Staying silent doesn't protect him either. It just makes you a coward on top of everything else.
By morning, Lucas had made a decision. Not the easy one. Not the one that protected him. For the first time since he'd clicked that button, the man who had spent 9 years being trusted with other people's money finally did something to deserve it again. He picked up the phone. Lucas didn't call a lawyer. He didn't call his family first either. He went straight to Richmond's office and asked for 5 minutes. Richmond looked up from his desk, already tired from a week of an investigation that wasn't going anywhere. He had no idea he was about to solve it himself.
It was me. I took the $10,000. Nobody else had anything to do with it.
Richmond didn't say anything at first. He just sat there, looking at a man he had trusted completely for 9 years, trying to make the sentence fit the person.
Why are you telling me this now? Because Red lost his job over something he never did. I couldn't let that stand. I respect that you came forward. I do. But respect isn't the same as forgiveness, Lucas. You stole from this company.
Lucas nodded. He hadn't expected anything else. The police were called that same afternoon. Lucas didn't resist, didn't argue, didn't ask for a lawyer to soften what came next. He answered every question the same way he'd always answered questions at that company, honestly. Word moved through the office fast. Some colleagues felt sorry for him. A few felt betrayed. Most felt both at once and didn't know what to do with that. Red heard before his shift ended. He didn't say much. He just sat there for a long moment, turning the news over the way a man turns over something that doesn't add up and never quite will. By the end of the day, Lucas was in custody. Nobody outside that building knew yet. That was about to change. By the time Lucas's story reached the local news, someone had already noticed the irony and couldn't resist it. Respected accountant arrested for embezzlement, wedding set for next week. It ran on the 6 o'clock broadcast. By morning, half the church had seen it, and the other half had heard about it from someone who had. There was no restitution to offer. The money hadn't been hidden somewhere, waiting to be returned. It was already gone. A venue deposit, a caterer, a band, spent on a day that was never going to happen now. The venue called first, asking, carefully, whether they should still expect a wedding party the following Saturday. Valerie's father called the venue back and canceled it himself. He couldn't bring himself to let Valerie make that call. 200 invitations had gone out months earlier, each one promising a wedding. Now 200 phone calls and messages went out instead, each one taking it back. The dress stayed in its garment bag, untouched, tags still on it, hanging in a closet that suddenly had nowhere to send it. Lucas heard about the cancellation the same way he heard everything now. Secondhand, through a guard, through a phone call he wasn't allowed to make himself. He had spent $10,000 trying to give Valerie a wedding worth remembering. He had succeeded, in the end, just not in any way he had meant to. Somewhere in that same city, Valerie was already giving her own account of what happened. It was not the same account Lucas would have given. Valerie didn't go looking for a way to explain herself. People came looking for her instead. The women from her old wedding planning group, church members who meant well and asked anyway. A local reporter who called twice before she stopped answering. She told all of them roughly the same story.
I never asked him to steal anything. I told him plainly I wanted something simple.
It wasn't entirely a lie. She really had said those words, once, in a counseling office, and meant them at the time. What she left out was everything that came after that. The friends, the photos, her own father's voice at his kitchen table. She left out the version of herself that had wanted more, and had let Lucas feel that wanting without ever naming it directly. She didn't visit him, not once. She told herself it was because seeing him would only make things harder for both of them. She almost believed that too. Within a month, she was seeing someone new, a man from a different church, someone who had heard only the parts of the story that made her the victim in it. Grief usually takes its time. Valerie's didn't. And somewhere in that fact was a truth she wasn't ready to look at yet. Some people can move through a tragedy so quickly because they were never as deep inside it as they let everyone believe. Red visited a few weeks after the arrest. While Lucas was still waiting for his court date, 2 other co-workers came with him. The kind of people who show up not because it's easy, but because staying away felt worse. Lucas looked smaller across the visitation table. Not physically. Just quieter somehow, like a man who had finally stopped performing for anyone.
I'm not here to ask why. I already know you're sorry. I just wanted you to know I came.
Lucas nodded. For a long moment, nobody said anything. Then, because Red had always been the kind of friend who earned the truth instead of demanding it, Lucas told him all of it. The pressure Valerie had been under, the night in the car, the 2 voices that had argued in his kitchen until one of them won.
I'm not blaming her. I made the choice. I just want you to understand how it happened.
He said her name carefully, without any edge in it. He wasn't trying to make anyone hate her. He was just, for the first time in months, telling the truth all the way through. Red didn't repeat it to punish anyone. He mentioned it once, quietly, to his wife that night, the way people talk about things that are still sitting heavy on them. His wife mentioned it to a friend. That friend went to the same church Valerie now attended. Truth has a way of moving through small rooms, whether anyone means for it to or not. Nobody in that chain was trying to hurt Valerie. They were only doing what people do with a story that finally makes sense. By the following Sunday, half the congregation had heard some version of it. The courtroom was smaller than Lucas had imagined it would be. No stained glass, no pulpit, just fluorescent light and a judge who had heard 1,000 stories like his and would hear 1,000 more. Richmond didn't come. He'd already said what he needed to say back in his office the day Lucas confessed, and he'd sent the court a written statement instead of sitting through a conversation he didn't need to have twice. Valerie didn't come either. She knew the date. Everyone around her did. She chose not to be there anyway. The woman whose dream had set all of this in motion never once sat in that room to see what it actually cost. Red did. He sat in the back row, the same quiet presence he'd been since the day he showed up at the visitation table. The judge read the charges, the plea, the restitution that would never be possible, because the money was already gone into deposits nobody could return. Then she asked if Lucas had anything to say before sentencing. He stood.
I'm not going to make excuses. I made a choice, and I own every part of it.
His voice didn't shake. He had rehearsed this moment enough times in his cell that the words came out steady, even though nothing about saying them felt easy.
If there's a young man out there feeling the same pressure I felt, I hope he hears this. Whatever you're afraid of losing is smaller than what you'll actually lose.
He didn't mention Valerie. Not her name, not the wedding, not the pressure that had started all of it. That part of the story belonged to him to carry, not to hand to a room full of strangers as an excuse. The judge sentenced him to 18 months. Lucas nodded once, like a man accepting a number on a balance sheet he already knew wouldn't come out in his favor. Red watched them lead him out and thought, for the first time since all of this started, about how much the last year had cost, and how little of that cost anyone would ever be able to see just by looking at him. Word travels fast in a small community. Faster, sometimes, than the people it's about ever expect. Valerie's new relationship moved quickly. An engagement. Within 4 months, his family had already begun planning. Then his mother made one phone call to a cousin who happened to attend the same church Valerie once did, just to ask, casually, if anyone there knew the family. She got an answer she wasn't expecting. Within 2 weeks, his family sat him down. They told him plainly, they would not welcome a woman like that into their family. Not after what she had done to the man she was supposed to marry. He broke it off. He didn't fight his family on it. Valerie never got a real explanation, only silence and a ring that came back to her in the mail. It happened again a few months later with someone else, and a third time, the year after that. Each time, the pattern held a promising start and then a quiet retreat once the full story caught up. Valerie never understood why it kept happening to her. She never once asked herself the question that might have told her. Lucas served his time quietly. He read. He prayed. He wrote letters to Valerie that he never sent. He had already let go of blaming her. He wasn't sure she had ever really looked at her own part in it. Some men come out of prison worse than they went in. Some men come out having finally met themselves for the first time. Nobody yet knows which kind of man Lucas will turn out to be. Here's what this story actually teaches. For a man like Lucas, pressure explains a fall, but it never excuses it. Whatever you're afraid of losing by standing firm is almost always smaller than what you'll lose by giving in instead. For a woman like Valerie, the people you pressure into wrongdoing may forgive you long before you ever learn to forgive yourself. And the truth you leave behind has a way of catching up, no matter how far or how fast you run from it. And for anyone watching, the shortcut always costs more than it was ever meant to avoid. The people who pressure you toward compromise rarely stay to help you carry what it costs. 200 invitations went out for a wedding that never happened. Word, it turned out, had a way of arriving just ahead of the wedding invitations. Prison isn't always where a man's story ends. Sometimes it's where it actually begins. Please subscribe, like, comment, and share to bless others. This story will be continued.